Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, which is the JHS hard drive.
Hard drive.
It is not a limited run,
Nope.
but it's a full-time pedal, and apparently you can get about 5,000 overdrives out of it.
Yeah, so I saw people comparing it to Rats. I saw people comparing it to DS1s. I heard it was like, from Josh, Josh Scott, he says it's a unique drive, distortion, I don't want to keep calling it overdrive, it's just distortion that is unlike any other circuit. It's not based on something. It's $199, right?
Right,
That's what the price
$199.
is. So, I find it unique to just have a new distortion pedal out there that's not based off something.
Right. Everything's based off, it's like the movie thing. Everything's a sequel.
Right. It feels like everything's a sequel or a little tweak on something else. And also, I'm excited for JHS to put a standard production line out again. When's the last time they done something that was not a limited run?
The Paul Gilbert pedal, probably.
Yeah, and that's been a long time. I guess they done like the Legends of Fuzz series.
Right, but just their own pedal.
Yeah,
I think it was the Paul Gilbert or maybe the Whitey Tidy.
Oh,
or
you know what it was? It was that chorus pedal. What
Oh,
was that?
right, the dual chorus.
Yeah, it's a signature pedal. I can't think of her name. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so I think it's really cool. It's not something I'm really necessarily into, I don't think. It's not my type of like distortion pedal that I'm out hunting for.
We're not big into like really heavy distortion sounds anymore.
No, because we like that edge of breakup and just stacking like slight levels. It is cool to have a Rat that's completely slamming the front end for like an effect type of distortion. And for that reason, I want to go play one. But
right, I think not for necessarily us, but I think it's an awesome drive again to have in the toolbox.
Yeah,
I always say that, but like seriously, you can use this for a lot of different sounds. From what I'm gathering, it can have its own sound. It's got a lot of knobs for a drive.
It does, but it's not that much different than like the Andy Timmons app pedal, or like we were talking the Paul Gilbert pedal. It is a lot of knobs, but for a distortion that's so shapeable like that, with an EQ section like it is, I don't mind the knobs.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be awesome to have. Would I see it on my board? Probably not, but...
Yeah, I think it could fall in that spot on my big board where I've got like a unique drive or fuzz or something that just sounds weird. I like to change that pedal out a lot. And just to have something unique there, I could see it maybe landing there. But I haven't ordered one yet.
Not yet. Give it time.
Give it time. All right, so we'll go into the main topic now.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk to you about and ask you the question, do you like the different pickup combos, like the odd pickup combos? So whenever I ask them, like, it's standard to have telly pickups, right? You have standard telly bridge and neck, a Strat with 3 single coils. Les Pauls with 2 humbuckers, or whatever they've got at the time. P90s if it's a different style Les Paul. What's your thoughts on some of these pickup combinations of like a telly with a P90 in the neck? Or like gold foil, 3 gold foils in this replacement for like Strat pickups.
Okay.
Do you have any desire for some like weird combinations and different things like that, or do you think it's just like a niche thing?
No, I do think it's cool. I think you probably have to know where it all comes from. Like, I don't know if you would necessarily start with those type of guitars. You know what I mean? So like, if you had a gold top, let's say a gold top Les Paul, because I love those. If had one that's all P90s or all humbuckers, and you're like, well, I like the humbucker or the humbucker gold top in the bridge, but I like the P90 in the neck. Well, they make that in custom shop. There's a custom shop one with the Bigsby on it. Like, that is your guitar, you know what I mean? So I think it depends on where it came from, what you're inspired by. I mean, I think it's definitely cool. I mean, I don't see why there's a problem with it. Will I have one day? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because...
What would it be? Would it be of like a Strat variant, a Telly variant, like Les Paul 3000? Is there one you lean towards?
I think it would be an HSS Strat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A humbucker in the
Boy,
bridge.
you're getting wild. HSS.
I mean, nowadays, it's PRS all the way for those, like, single-coiled humbucker tones. But I think an HSS, something like that is probably in the works eventually one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yours would be a Steve Morris.
Oh, Steve Morris is a cool idea because it is wild pickup combinations.
Yeah.
My head was just thinking about, like, a parts caster. Like, getting some type of telly with, like, a routed-out neck position where I could put a P90 or a gold foil or a humbucker doing something
like
weird.
Like the cobbler?
Yeah, something like that.
Telly, yeah.
Man, sometimes, it was Jed Hughes that had a P90 in the neck I was listening to the other day. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it sounded so good in a Telecaster. It sounded really good, and then that middle combination was just incredible. Got me thinking about these pickup combinations if I need to check something else out. But yeah, the Steve Morse would be a fun one.
That'd be a good one.
Some type of parts caster, like HSS is a great go-to. But yeah, so you're in for some of that stuff.
I think so. Like I said, I got to get my feelers out there for everything.
Have you looked in those Cooter casters?
No.
They've got that crazy bridge pickup. You haven't looked at those at all?
No. Is that the lap steel?
Yeah, it's got the lap steel pickup basically in the bridge. What do you feel about that? Because the original, Fender Telecaster pickup is basically ripped out of a lap steel, right?
Right. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd have to play one. I have no idea what I'm even like.
Me either. And those
what realm that's in.
Pretty. Like if you buy, one of these custom-made ones, they're expensive. So you're not getting to play it beforehand most of the time. You're just buying into it. But there's a little bit of me that's interested in that type of thing and like a gold foil thing. And
right.
There's a lot of combinations I would like to check out, but it's just you're really committing to it because you kind of got to set up a whole guitar and buy a whole guitar just for it.
Yeah, but think about it. Like you're committing to any guitar regardless. I don't think it really matters. Like just whatever you like or whatever fits you best. But I think it's more practical really because you're not gonna like every pickup in every spot. I feel like it's actually more practical than having like a fully
standard set.
Because,
yeah, it's really hard sometimes.
I mean, how many people would love to have like a Telly bridge pickup and Strat everything else?
Right.
They would love that.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
That metal plate underneath the bridge and everything else is Strat. I'm surprised Fender hasn't done a parallel universe of something like that.
You know what? Maybe early on they did. They were doing all that crazy stuff where it looked like a Strat and it had all of like Telecaster appointments, like knobs.
They have the deluxe Nashville Strat or Telly.
Yeah.
But it's still not the same.
No, it is not the same.
You know what I mean? You almost need a hybrid there, but
yeah, I don't know. So you're in for some of those, though. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that, too. I just don't know what it's... I have so many standard pickup models that I'm really interested in. We didn't even get into, Firebird pickups.
That's a whole nother thing.
Right? How cool would that be in some of those guitars?
Some mini humbuckers.
Yeah, for, a neck position, Brent Mason done with that Gibson mini humbucker in the neck of his
Brent
Telly.
Mason,
he's a guy that's done...
That's a Frankenstein.
Yeah, so he had that standard Telly in the bridge, and then he had that stacked single coil in the middle. Seymour Duncan.
And he can blend in the middle pickup.
And then the neck was that Gibson mini humbucker.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if that was originally... I guess it was some type of Firebird mini humbucker. I'm not sure.
It kind of looks like it. The only thing that's weird looking is that red middle pickup.
Yeah. He didn't care, though. He was just trying to get as many sounds as he could. He was playing with Don Kelly at the time when he done that,
It's a thing now. Everybody wants it, and he's got his own signature line. So.
Yeah, he's went through a couple. He had the Valley Arts signature, and now he's jumped to the, which Valley Arts was owned by Gibson at one time. And now he's actually back with Fender, like it should be.
I don't know. I think it's more practical, to be honest with you.
I like it. All right, we better get moving.
Yep. So, for today's first Gasser Pass, I want to talk about, this is something that we've looked at, I think glanced at, but never really taken it serious. And that's the Keeley Mod Station.
Yeah.
So it's got a whole bunch of modulation effects in it. All right, so just to name a few, trim, harmonic trim, flanger, rotary phaser, chorus. So it's got a lot in there.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that, but there's also a lot of switches on the front of it to make it really user-friendly.
Right.
Would you want one for $199?
Oh. $199. Well, that's hard because it starts competing with a lot of stuff at that point, right?
Yeah, you're competing with the Wampler Terraform,
which is great.
M5,
which is great.
Well, of course the Helix, but that doesn't count. Or the HX Stomp, I mean.
Yeah.
There's a bunch.
The Line 6-1 and all that stuff.
TC's Plethora.
You get a lot of them.
Or Plethora. I just said Plethora.
Plethora. It's the Plethoris. I'm going to break out the Plethoris of effects. Stand by.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? I don't know.
I think it was really cool in its time, and I think times have passed
In its time?
Yeah, when it first came out.
What do you mean by that?
I think it was really cool when it first came out. I like the idea of it being tactile. We've talked about this many times before, but I like having all the knobs. You hit the switch and the knobs above it is controlling what's below it and the way it's laid out. I love that. I think now, since it's, invention, I think there's more pedals out there that do a better job of what it was trying to do.
What do they do better?
I think there's
You're
more,
kind of beating around the bush here.
Well, I think there's more effects. I think that they're doing the effects just as well. I think they've got different things integrated into them that
have you played the pedal?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah, they do them just as well.
Well, I didn't say I know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that there's many companies out there that are making pedals that are just as good.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't want one. Like, if you've got one over there in your back pocket, I would certainly take it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's not a gas for me now like it was when it came out. When it came out, I really liked it, actually. At that time, I had multiple modulation effects going on, and I looked at it really hard because I would just want to get away from all of them. Because they were kind of like, specific things for a song that I was needing. It's not like something I was going to all the time. Then you kind of want to designate a pedal for it. If it's something you just need for a song or two, I don't mind having one pedal that kind of gets me through a little bit of that. Like the M5 or whatever, you can scan through stuff.
You would rather have like preset banks and all that?
I think for me, if I was going to buy one of those mod pedals that does a bunch, I would want at least a few preset banks. Like the Terraform. Like the Terraform's got like 4 or 8 preset banks.
8, I think.
Which is way more than I need. I probably could get by with 4. Mm-hmm. I don't need as many as the M5 or the Line 6-1 or anything like that. But I would want a couple presets. Otherwise I'm going to be reaching down, turning knobs.
Okay.
So for me, it would be a pass.
Okay.
Is it a gas or a pass for you?
I'd like to hear the modulation because, videos, they really don't do it justice.
Why is that?
Demos suck. So, between that, what is it, the DD200?
Yeah.
Or MD200?
MD200.
You've got the Terraform. I think,
You got like the Strymon Mobius and all that stuff too, right?
Well, and then harkening back to the 90s, you had the Line 6. Oh, it wasn't the DL4. That's the delay.
Yeah, the modulation version of
it. Right.
Yeah, and they had a rack version, and then they had an actual foot pedal.
And you've got like a rotary on there that sounds great. Mike Campbell still uses that Line 6 one.
Right.
So I think the Line 6 one kind of did it before the Keeley one.
Yeah, they did. And then Keeley came out with their thing, and it was unique because...
And it was smaller.
It was smaller, and it was not presets, like you said. It was like, you push the button, you twist the knob, and I love that. And if I only needed 1, maybe 2, that's what I would go with.
Right.
But for me, that's not my modulation situation.
Yeah.
My modulation thing is like, I'm grabbing whatever I need for that particular song.
Right.
And it's not something I'm practicing with a lot, so it's a bunch of oddball things for this one-off song.
I would say I would probably choose the Keeley over the Line 6 because usually his modulation, his effects are amazing.
I'm not beating up Keeley. Keeley's great.
Yeah.
I love everything I've ever played that's Robert Keeley's.
You're not beating him up. You just don't want anything to do with him.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying at all. I love Robert Keeley's stuff. I've liked everything I've ever played from the guy. Not saying it's all been for me.
Sure, just like any company.
Yeah, but I've liked everything I've ever played, and it's just this particular pedal, I don't think he makes it anymore, right?
The Mod Station?
Yeah,
it's still on his website.
Oh, okay, it's still on his website. But I think it's past, I don't want to say it's past its usefulness, but times have changed, and I don't know if it's the right thing for now. I think there's just too many other options.
I say it's still on his website. It could be on the discontinue page.
I think it's on the discontinue page.
I'd have to look at that. Don't hold me to the fire, but I know they still sell them on Reverb all the time.
Yeah, I've seen them for $199 a lot.
I was about to say. So I could have sworn it was still on there.
But either way,
current production. But
either way, so is it a gas for you?
I think for what it does, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Are there other pedals that are a little? I don't think they do it better, but I think there's more flexibility with other pedals now.
Yeah, maybe that's the way.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's more flexibility with pedals now, but that's not to say the effects aren't better than what's out there.
I'm gonna keep beating you on this. Is it a gas?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a gas for you. It's
it only
a pass
took you
for
3
me.
times.
All right, let's go to my gas or pass now. I wanted to ask you, is it a gas or pass? The Tworockamp Studio Classic. So it's one channel. It's got reverb. It sells for $3,900.
Is it a 112?
That's the head.
That's the head.
That's the head. You can get it in combo form, but I don't want that in combo. I want the head and cab if I'm gonna get it. Me personally.
Sure.
So it's got like different kinds of settings. There's like a boost function. You can turn it up in the back of the head. There's not any foot switchable thing. So the one channel is what you get.
Sure.
There is an effects loop. And we know it's based off the Studio Classic, which was out before it. Mm-hmm. And it's all kind of Dumble-esque inspired.
Right.
Is this a gas or pass for you?
Any Tworockamp,
yeah,
I'm in for it.
Any of them?
Any of them. You know what I really... So, I'm going off topic. But the Mike Bloomfield Tworockamp, man. I would love to try one.
Yeah.
That and the Joey Landreth.
I saw Joey Landreth in person, and somebody was playing it at the time, and I was trying to get in and out of the stores. It was at Palin's Music in Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
And I was trying to get in and out at the time, and I was checking out 2 other guitars. I got time enough to check them out, and it was time for me to leave, and the guy was still playing it. And it sounded great.
Right.
But I didn't get to play on it. But
any Tworockamp,
yeah,
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I think by the end of my whole guitar journey, I'll have one.
You think so?
Yeah.
How far off do you think the Tworockamp stuff is from the stuff that Fuchs used to make, the ODS, like Overdrive Supreme
I
stuff?
think it's completely different.
Yeah, I do too.
The Fuchs, to me, to my ear, based on compressed YouTube videos...
I played one of them in a combo form, a 112 combo one time.
You know Charlie Daniels used to play Fuchs?
No.
Sorry.
Well, you know what?
Squirrel.
Well, anytime
Charlie
you can bring
Daniels used to play a Fuchs ODS.
Well, huh. Learn something new every day.
But anyways.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd was big on him for a long time, right? Wasn't he the guy that was playing him?
If he did, it was like real early.
Okay.
I know Joe Bonamassa, he played him, I think, on the Clean channel.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Squirrel.
Anyway.
Tworockamp, I don't think it's Dumble. I think you asked, like, how close do you think it is to, like...
How close is the Fuchs ODS to the Tworockamp is what I was asking.
No, I would say the Fuchs has got a little more compression to it. It sounds like it's got more drive to it.
It's got way more gain. Because the one I played was ripping.
The Tworockamp is more in the clean territory and breakup.
Okay.
To me, and again, this is like based off videos, I have not played this, and I know people get aggravated, like, why are you talking about things you haven't played? Well, it's because...
You can't play everything.
Also, this channel is about talking.
Right.
And, like, just two brothers talking about what we like.
The idea of gas or pass, if we haven't went over this in a video that you've seen before, the idea is to bring up a subject of something that we haven't got to play, or most of the time we haven't been able to play, and haven't bought. But is it something you really want and you're gassing for, or is it something that you're like not interested in?
Right.
You're going to pass on it.
Right.
So that's the idea.
Yeah,
so yeah,
right.
we haven't played it.
We have not played it, but I'm super interested in this Tworockamp.
Yeah.
I don't think it and the Fuchs is close to each other really at all. I think the Fuchs to me is probably closer to, like, I guess in between a Tworockamp and a Mesa.
Okay.
That's what I feel like it sits between.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean a Tworockamp. And I know it's not a Dumble. I just think of, like, Continuum.
Yeah.
Like, the album. I know everyone is in love with John Mayer, and I'm one of those fanboys because you can't hear the album Continuum and not think, like, that is some amazing tone.
Yeah. I'm not the fanboy that there is out there, but I do love that sound he's got, and I can appreciate his playing.
It's kind of like Brad Paisley, Mud on the Tires. Like, even if you don't like Brad Paisley, it's a great sound.
Yep. You can not like country music and listen to that and be like, man, that guitar sound is good.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is a complete gas for me.
It's a big gas for me, too. I'm really into the Tworockamp stuff recently. Been, like, staring down videos and stuff. I'm going to get out and play a few more of those. But you want to go ahead and move to your main topic?
All right. So the second main topic is going to be about gain stacking.
Okay.
Because I think it's really common for other people to really struggle with like what overdrive is going to sound good with what. Also, it kind of helps me like thinking about my pedal board, like think it through a little more.
Yeah.
So how do you approach gain stacking? What are some things that you're looking for to buy the next pedal for you? How do you go about it?
Okay, so I've kind of got, I think I do it different than a lot of people suggest out there on the interwebs. So a lot of people like to go highest drive first, and they go to lighter drives as they go and boost pedals at the end. That way they can boost into a clean amp, and the pedals that are after that highest drive are actually boosting their level up, making them louder.
All right, I need you to say that slower because I couldn't comprehend it.
I think
in the moment.
I think I do
Don't
it,
judge.
I think I do it different than a lot of people on the internet suggest. A lot of people I've heard on the internet suggest and talk about this stuff in the past. They talk about putting your highest gain pedal first and going to lighter gain pedals as you go.
The reason, because it adds more volume when you do that.
Because as you go, it increases volume.
Right.
And I don't want that at all. Because I think that makes the pedals less dynamic, in my opinion.
What do you mean less dynamic?
Well, whenever I do it, I kind of do it the opposite, sort of. I know, it's confusing. So just
how
hear me
does
out.
it going the other way? Or going that way. Starting the chain with the highest drive to boost.
Let's say we're using a JHS hard drive for our first thing.
Okay, that's fine.
And we want to put a boost after it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, if you're going to do a straight up boost, like quote unquote clean boost,
whatever that means,
it's just going to make it louder. Right? Like good for solos and stuff like that. But I don't think necessarily stacked. I prefer the higher gain into a lower gain pedal. I like it flip-flopped. Because I like a lower gain pedal going into a higher gain pedal. It's kind of, in my head, it works kind of like, especially if your amp's clean, you're taking a lower gain like boost or like light overdrive and pushing it into a higher gain pedal, which is acting as an amp that's overdriving already.
Right, so it's almost like a preamp.
It's almost like a preamp. So what I do is I start off with lowest gain, and I go up to a higher gain, and then right after my highest gain, I smack an EQ.
Okay.
And I put an EQ at the very end of that, which I can use for EQ shaping whatever pedals before it, or what I use it for most is I give myself a little bit of bump in the mids, cut a little bit of bass, and I boost my level up just a hair, which will give me a solo boost after it all if my amp is clean.
Okay. So I'm just curious, because we're talking it out. Why don't you put the EQ before everything, shape that into the hardest drive, or the highest gain, I should say?
Well, I think it probably works better as a shaper that way, but I use it less like, which, I mean, you can shape it on either side, really, but...
Because couldn't you just, instead of getting an EQ bump the mids, you just get a pedal for that?
Yeah, you can. I don't always bump the mids. I'm really just bumping that mids for like solo boost stuff, but sometimes I'll leave the EQ completely flat and just bump the level for a quote-unquote clean boost.
Right.
But at the end of my drive section, if my amp is clean, it's just going to give me volume. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. I get my lowest gain up to a high gain, so it's all feeding into each other like preamps kind of. Then once I get to that highest gain, my next pedal is an EQ. I've used clean boost type pedals, you know, like Katana style or RC Booster or whatever in that same place before I found the EQ. But I like to have some type of boost pedal right after that can just boost my volume. If my amp is not clean, it's not going to though, right? If I don't have any headroom left in my amp, it's just going to add overdrive. But a lot of times I, like to play on the edge of breakup. So still we'll have a little bit of headroom left over.
Okay. So to me, you answered, how do you order your drives? You didn't answer, how do you approach gain stacking?
Oh,
that was
cool.
a great segment, but I mean,
cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm tired of talking, so you talk a little bit about how you approach it.
All right. So I would agree with you on that, because before I go on to gain stacking, like, as far as the order I use my drives, I do start with like lighter to more drives, and then at the end I'll have some type of boost. That way I can boost myself out for solos. But for gain stacking as far as how to approach one drive and meshing those sounds together.
Yeah, I just got thinking too much about other things, and there we were. Yeah,
it's fine. We're here. So my thing is with gain stacking, you really have to take into account what your drives currently are, and kind of what you mentioned about, lightest drive to more drive. Do you want more of a volume boost on the end, or do you want more of a preamp boost in the front?
Right.
And whatever your EQ is now, you need to take that consideration. So, for instance, if you currently have a tube screamer, because that's usually like everyone's first overdrive,
right,
you probably should get something that's a little more full frequency.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want 2 mid-push pedals.
Yeah.
Regardless of if it's before or after, you're going to want something more full frequency. And then you got to think, well, if I have this full frequency and I have this mid-boost, do I want more of that solo thing with the mid boost at the end and totally shape that EQ, because whether you know it or not, that very last drive you have is going to shape your sound more than any pedal.
Yep.
Right?
That's why I've got that EQ at the end.
Right. So I think it's super important that you're happy with your tone the most with the last pedal in the chain.
Yeah.
As far as drive goes. So that's how I approach it. Now, when I think of gain stacking, I do like drives with character.
Yeah.
So, and that makes it harder because, I have a Timmy and I like it, but it's not really on my board that much.
Yeah.
So when you have, like, let's say a King of Tone or a Blues Breaker style, you have maybe a Klon style.
Yep.
You have other mid-pushed, maybe an amp in the box that has some mids. Then it gets real complicated.
Yeah, so now let me jump back in here because now I've figured out what you were asking in the first place.
Problem.
Sorry
no
about
problem.
that.
Yeah.
So, I do a lot of the same type of things. So whenever I set that up, I usually like to have my higher drive to be more of a full frequency drive. So it's my last drive in the chain, and then my drives before that, which are, lower drives, lower output drives, I like those to be more of my character overdrives and tones. So that way it can kind of shape into that, and it does shape the sound of my guitar going into that drive that's full frequency, but that full frequency still has the largest impact on my tone. And I like to pick, my favorite full frequency drives. Sometimes I'll have 2 of those that are pretty similar in drive levels. So then I can swap. One might be a little more mid-pushed, and one might be a little more full frequency. And then maybe I've got 1 or 2 boost pedals before that to push into them in different combinations. But I think of those as like preamp kind of character drives going into those 2 pedals that might be, a little bit different. One more full frequency and one less. So I think, we kind of do it the same type of way.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
And everyone does it different. Like, you add a fuzz, that's going to change everything.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
A treble booster, that's going to change everything.
Yeah, put a wah, a fuzz, a treble booster, all in there at the same time.
With a tube screamer. Good luck.
Yeah, it can be done. It's just a little bit of a headache, right?
It's a challenge.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you.